Unit 4. In someone else's shoes.
All of us deal with the common concerns of life: finding food and shelter, building relationships, defining ourselves, traveling from place to place, and many others. Different groups, however, have different ways of responding to them. Our responses depend on our environment, our history, and our creativity. Together, these forces shape human cultures. It is easy to find evidence. We don't have to look as far as philosophy, literature, and other higher forms of culture. A very common concern, and our responses to it, will make the point clear. People everywhere face the common concern of how to cover and protect their feet, for instance. They have responded to this concern in countless and often amazing ways.
Impact of environment.
Our environment offers resources which, in turn, depend on such factors as geography and climate. People experiment with resources, shaping different responses to the same concern. The straw shoes above on the left are traditional Korean footwear. On the right are Native Americans' leather shoes. Both are sensible responses to the need to protect one's feet. Koreans and Native Americans lived in environments in which different raw materials were available. In Korea, an endless supply of straw was available after each rice harvest, whereas Native Americans had many animal hides after the hunting season. The different environments we are used to force us to adjust our clothing, shelter, and food. Footwear may depend not just on resources, but also on climate. The sandals above on the left are perfectly suited for Egypt's hot, dry climate. The fish-skin boots in the middle from icy Siberia keep cold and tired feet warm. The snowshoes on the right protect the feet from snow-filled terrain, while wet weather shoes keep the feet above muddy ground.
The influence of history and tradition.
Environment is only one factor that affects our cultural responses. For instance, Arizona's climate is similar to Egypt's, yet the footwear worn by Native Americans in Arizona looks very different from what the Egyptians developed. Such different responses arise because other cultural forces, including history and tradition, are at work. Look at the shoes above on the left. These small shoes used to be worn by women in China. Traditionally, Chinese women were forced to have small feet. It was perhaps because small feet were considered beautiful, so their feet were bound in tiny footwear to keep them child-sized. What about the colorful shoes on the right? Koreans used to wear colorful clothing on wedding days or special occasions. It is because of history that you can still see such colorful shoes at a traditional Korean wedding.
Role of creativity.
How does human creativity shape our different responses to common concerns? Humans evolved the ability to imagine and communicate through symbols. This gave us the capacity for creativity, the ability to invent new solutions to problems. Human creativity helps us shape our surroundings rather than only being shaped by them. While we bring creativity to bear on just about everything, we see it most vividly in our art forms. The toe shoes below on the left are used for ballet, a kind of dance developed in 16th century Europe. Tap dancing is a creative combination of many types of dance, including Irish step dancing, African and African American dance, and flamenco dancing. When we assume that our way of doing things is the norm, or the only right way, we begin to look at people who do things differently as more than just different. We tend to label them as odd or maybe inferior. We may fear people who aren't like us. Then tensions can rise between individuals, communities, and even nations. Attaching value judgments to cultural differences can become hurtful. It may lead us to turn our backs on one another, or even at times to commit grave acts of violence. Understanding the reasons for differences helps us take the value judgment out of different. It helps us live in mutual respect for people whose beliefs are different from our own. Working toward cultural understanding also gives each of us the chance to define more clearly what we believe, to know ourselves and each other better, and ultimately to strengthen the connections between us all. So it is not a bad idea to put yourself in someone else's shoes.